But today we'll learn about the second of the vessels of the tabernacle, which are explained in this week's Torah portion, which is called Truma. And interestingly, the first that's explained is the ark that the tablets were put into. Ark that the tablets were put into. And this ark was, we explained it yesterday, we explained at great length. It was about, 3 something feet wide, 3 feet long. And it was almost like 2 feet tall. It wasn't that big, and it held the tablets. It held the tablets, and that was in the Holy of Holies. I think we had a picture over here. This is what the ark looked like, right? Here they made it square for some reason. It was not, certainly was not square. And the pools, we said, were on the narrow side. So that there was a big space between the pools so that there could be 2 men here like this. Even though here they also made a mistake because for some reason they drew these things, these statues facing the opposite way, facing one from the other, but that's also not true. But this is right, and it would fit 2 men inside, and they would carry the ark when they were walking. They couldn't, it was forbidden to put it in a wagon. In fact, all these vessels were carried by the tribe of Kahat. It was the family of Kahat, one of the 3 families in the Levites. Okay, so here 2 people would get in and they would carry it. I read somewhere, and I can't find it, I don't remember what it was, that these people that were walking, let's say they were carrying it this way, so the people this way, they would be facing the ark. They wouldn't have their backs to the ark. All right, we'll have to see. I don't remember what I looked at. I wanted to look it up. I couldn't. But that's what we discussed yesterday. And this would go wherever they want in the ark. And the same ark was in the first temple, and it was buried near the end of the first temple, down in this hidden chambers underneath the temple, where the temple was eventually going to be ruined. But this still remained the same. So it's the same box that was made. Okay, now we're going to talk about the candelabra, candelabra, for lack of a better word, the menorah. Call it the menorah. Okay, now where was this menorah? This menorah was placed in the holy. Here we have a picture of the tabernacle. Again, they would carry this in the desert. Later on in this week's Torah portion, I don't think we're going to get to it. It talks about the curtains that were over here, and the curtains were held up by these boards, and the boards were put into sockets, into silver sockets, which were on the ground, and how they were held together. But we're not discussing that now. We're discussing this room over here. This whole thing was a tent like this, a tent. And outside of the tent was the altar, not exactly where this one is. This is the altar, the end of this altar. This is supposed to be about over here. In any case, this is a more sort of an accurate picture where the altar was. This was covered over. Here's the Holy of Holies. This was the ark was, but now we're talking about where the this menorah was. The menorah was here. I think there's a picture over here which illustrates it a little bit better. Here, this is where the menorah is, over here. All right, we're going to see that this picture that everybody draws of the menorah like this has absolutely no source whatsoever in any Jewish writings anywhere. It's not written anywhere in the world. It's like this. Lubavitcher already pointed this out very, very strongly, and that this is not the shape of the menorah, wasn't. But what? The menorah was shaped like this. This is the picture that the Rambam drew of the menorah, not to show exactly where these ornaments were put. We'll talk about the ornaments soon. There were like flowers, and there were buttons, and there were cups. That's what it says. Gevi'im and kaftorim and prachim. And they were on this menorah. And of course, on the top were the cups where the oil was put. And the Rebbe asked when the cups, why did they put the cups upside down? Why did Rambam like this one? In fact, they weren't that. They were cups. They were shaped. They were turned the other way. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a moment, God willing. The side they came out, the Rambam, according to the Rambam, Maimonides, they came out straight. According to the Rashi, which we're going to read Rashi, they also came out straight. From where do we get this opinion that's like this? Because this is the picture that is on the wall of victory in Rome from Titus, King Titus. So King Titus is certainly not a respected opinion in Jewish and Jewish law. Certainly not. But nevertheless, that's what it comes. So here we are. This is where it was. Let's take a little bit of a look at how this is, and then we're going to go to the to the details. Now, this whole entire menorah, it was 18 tfachim high. 18 tfachim high. So let's say there's 6 tfachim in an amma, something like that, 5 tfachim in an amma. So it was like 3.5 feet high, right? I'm sorry. It was like, right, 16 divided 3 ammas high, which means it was about 4.5 feet high. That's about how it was, 4.5 feet, which means it comes up about to everybody's chest. But there was a steps in front of it. There were steps. There was a stone, and it had steps on it. And I think they even have the picture over here of these steps. Very inaccurate picture. Hugely inaccurate picture. But on the other hand, very imaginative. Certainly very imaginative. Here we are. It's a picture that comes straight. There is also here. Where is it going to be? Well, I know that it's here. In this book, it certainly is written, but I don't. Wrong. Here, this here. Let's move this over here. This comes from this book, which is called Shaila Mora. It's written by a person called Weinberg, is it? I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Excuse me. Doesn't have his name. Where is this? Anyways, letters from the Rebbe also. Weinfeld. Rabbi Weinfeld. I think he lives in Jerusalem. He's a Chabad Chassid. So he has his illustrated. Let's see if these illustrations, they match it. Nah, big disappointment. Okay. Anyway, there was a steps in front of the menorah, and he would light it. Now, let's take a little bit of a look at this menorah over here. Here we go. It's not here. We just had the pictures. Oh, I guess we have to go back. Huh? No. Yeah. All right. We'll have to settle with what we have here. Okay. So we're going to read about this in just a moment. And there were 5 buttons, kaftorim. Let's see, where can we get this picture? There was a better picture before. I'm sorry for all this. I had the whole thing planned out before, and then suddenly one button, press the wrong button, and this is what we get. Okay, what can we do? There you go. There were, maybe I guess we'll just press this here. Maybe this will make this bigger. Huh? Will it work? No, doesn't work. The lamp pricing. You want to buy a lamp for yourself? Okay. All right, so we see that there are what's called buttons here. And there are flowers. I just want to explain this before we start to read in the text, because as soon as we go in the text and I want to switch back, so I always end up pressing the wrong buttons, and so you can't see what exactly I'm talking about. Oh, this is really wild here. These are things I don't even remember I saw before. Okay. Let's try it again. Ready? No. Is it worthwhile to try? Well, we just did. Here we go. We had a better picture before. I'm sorry, we were just wasting a lot of time over here, and there's no, which is definitely not my intention. So let's, here we go. Well, every progressive picture that I click on, it gets more and more inaccurate. So this is sort of what we wanted, but this is not what we wanted. Not what we wanted. All right, my friends, I'm sorry to have, okay, here we go, here. All right, this is the best picture. It looks, we're gonna have to settle with this. Here is the buttons. I wish this could be made a little bit bigger, but this looks like this is it. We got the same picture again as before, yeah. All right. All right, here we go. This is it. This is what we'll have to deal with. Here's the base of it, and it has buttons. See these buttons? And from these buttons, they're called kaftorim, there come these branches which go out straight. And on each one of the branches, there's also what's called a cup. That's these things, cups. They were turned the other way around. Cups and buttons and flower, a flower. That's what was in each one. Why they had to be there, this is according to very deep Kabbalistic principles, which I don't know. So nevertheless, that's exactly the way it had to be, and it could not be deviated. Now, the fact is they couldn't make, this was made from gold, but it could have been made from everything, and it was made from one piece of gold. This one piece of gold was pounded out. Okay. It was pounded out in order to be in the shape that it was. So let's look at the text and let's see if we can figure out how this corresponds to what we just finished learning. I'm sorry. How people can be so incredibly inaccurate with these things, I don't know. I mean, they just, there's no simply basis for this. You just look in the book. If they're going to write a book anyway, so why not write? Okay. So, okay, here we have the menorah. This is the way it was shaped. It was about, like we say, 4 feet high. Let's go to the text. We're going to go to the text. Says God to Moses, Ve'asita menorah zahav tahor. You have to make a pure menorah. A menorah is like we just finished showing. The standing candle, 7 candle stick menorah. It should be from zahav tahor, from pure gold. Miksha teaseh. It should be made from one piece. Yerecha, the kana, its base and its branches. Givi'im, like we said, the cups. Kaftorim, the buttons, those are the round ones. Uprachim, they were shaped like half circles. Mimena, it should all come from it. In other words, don't make them separate and stick it on. Let's look at Rashi. Rashi says it has to be miksha. This menorah should not be made from like pieces and pieces. Don't make it, namely, you make the stem, you make the staffs that come out from it and the lamps on the top of it, pieces, and then afterwards stick them all together. That's the way that silversmiths and goldsmiths, they do. It's like soldering. It says shulderitz, soldering. Don't solder. Ella kula bo b'chaticha achat. It all comes from one big piece. Umakish b'kornos, and you have to hit with a hammer. V'chutech b'kli amanoso, and you can cut off with special vessels so that you can shape it. Umafri d'kanim elach v'elach, and then the branches come out. come out 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, and of course 1 in the middle. Miksha, what does it mean, miksha? It says hamshacha, that they're all drawn, that these branches are all drawn out from the main block of gold. Also, the word miksha comes from the word of makat, to hit with a hammer. Kamo dalada nikshu, like one hit the other one. They bumped into one the other. Te'aseh menorah. This is how the menorah should be made. Te'aseh. It should say ta'aseh. You should make ta'aseh. Te'aseh means it should be made. Says Rashi, me'eleha, on its own. What do you mean on its own? God just finished telling Moses that he had to make it. He had to pound it with a hammer and he had to make it. Says Lefi, because Shahaya Moshe mitkasheh, Moses was very perplexed by this whole thing. How am I going to make this? Doesn't understand what to do. Now the fact is Moses didn't make any of these vessels. That all the vessels were made by Bezalel and Ahaliab. There were 2 experts that they knew how to make. We talked about that yesterday. So Moses said, but I don't know what to tell them. How am I have to give orders. I don't know what to do. Only the Kodesh Baruch Hu, God said like this: take a big block of gold, hashlechet takikar, throw this block of gold, leor, into fire. V'hina said, and it'll pop up on its own. Okay, therefore, it doesn't say te'aseh. Therefore, it doesn't say ta'aseh. I'm sorry. It doesn't say you should make it. It says te'aseh. It should be made. It's made of its own. Yurecha. What's the recha? The recha, it has to be a base. There's the base of it. This is called. It's something like a little box, and it has 3 feet. Three. What do they got? 3 feet to come out of it. Little posts that it stands on come out of it. Ulamata, below. And a kaneh. There has to be a kaneh. What does it say? It says v'kaneh. What's the kaneh? Kaneh is the middle pillar, the middle stick. That it comes straight up. Zakuf kalakimaila. It goes straight from below to above. And on this one is the middle lamp. It's made like a bazach. It's made sort of like a cup. Vatsu kashemen l'tocho, and then you pour oil into it. Ulatet hapatila, and then you put a wick in there. Also, on each one of these is what's called a gviya, a cup. I showed you before what it is. That they're like cups, that they're made from, like the cups that we have that are made from gold. They're long, and they're narrow. And that's called madirnas. Okay. And this was made from gold. And they stick out, and they come from each and every one of these sticks that you put on them. You put them on. It says like these was only just for beauty. They weren't used for anything. All right, we'll take a look at this. I'll go back to the original picture and I'll show you. The kaftarel, there's also should be buttons on each one. It's shaped something like an apple. Agulim saviv, round. Boltim, they also stick out of the middle stalk. Kadirach she'osim menorah shalifnei sarim, like they make these candelabras in front of important people, and they're called pimlish. I don't know. These are probably French words, old French words. How many do they have? It says clearly they're sticking out. How many? It says no. I'm sorry. Uminyan shalam. The number is written in the parsha. We'll see how many. How many there are sticking out from it, and how many there are between each one, each button, and each button. Uparachal. There was also some sort of a form on it, like a flower. That came out. This is also okay. So let's go back to the picture and see what this is again. Here we go. Ready? Yes. Okay. So here we have our picture I'm going to keep messing around with this thing, and which is not to our benefit. There we go. Okay. So it says here there were these round things. Those are called kaftor. There were these in cups like that. That was called a perach, a flower. And then there were these cups, even though the narrow part of the cup should be down. But the Rambam, Maimonides, when he drew his illustration of how he understood the menorah looked, as he made them upside down, and the Rebbe explains why, because the whole purpose of it was not to receive light, but to give light. That was the whole purpose of it, to give. So we are at the central, here's the bottom. Rambam said it was made like, the Rashi said it was made like a box. So this picture we can say is a little bit inaccurate. There were steps going up. We'll talk about these steps in a moment. The steps that went up, the Kohen, he would be above the whole thing. He would look down and he would light the candles. There was one central that went up, and on each one of these stalks that came out were these cups. That's the cups. That's like this triangle, inverted triangle with the point above, like a pyramid. That was called cups. There were buttons. They were round, and there were flowers, but you can't see the flowers over here. Why not? We had a better picture before. What can we do? Can't have everything. Well, we can try everything, but we can't. We don't. You know what? Here, let me just try this one more time. Here we go. Still have the original. One more time. Oh, no! I went to the wrong place. Excuse me. 1 minute. One moment. We're going to try this again to get this picture. No. There it is. Okay. I hope everyone can see this. I can certainly see it. Here's a little bit of a clearer picture of what we had over there before. And let's try to tune into this. Let's see if we can tune into it. Is this any better? I don't know. Maybe. And down here. No. Okay, we have the same thing as before. Okay, so here we have the picture that we had before. Maybe it's a little bit bigger, a little clearer. Here we have the buttons. These are the kaftorim. These are the Gevi'im cups. And these are what's called the prachim. What do we have? The prachim here? These. Prachim. There's also over here. Right, that's how it was made. Let's just go back to the text. Big Kabbalistic explanations of what's going on over here. 6 sticks, 6 branches should come out from one side, from its sides. 3 come out on one side, and 3 Kane Menora, 3 of the sticks come from the other side. Rashi says, Lakan Balaksan. They come out here and there, Ba'alaksan. Alaksan means at a straight angle. So here we see from Rashi that he holds like the Rambam, Rashi Kristin, before. Here, they came out at an angle. Alaksan means at a slant, at a straight angle. They go straight, but they come to these, they end up in the same line. Which is the middle. And they come out one above the other. The bottom one is longer. The one above it is a little bit shorter. The one above it is a little bit shorter, in order that the tops of them should be equal, right? That's what we said before. Let's just take a little picture of it again so that we see what we're going on, what we're talking about here. See, the bottom one, all the three branches come out. These are the three branches. The bottom one is longer. One above it is a little bit shorter. The one above it is the shorter, so that they should all come and be equal with the top one, which in this picture, for some reason, they're not equal to the top one. They should be equal to the top. So there are three of these cups with mishukadim, and they have these they're ornamented. Rashi says mitsuyirim, that they were engraved on them, like they make with silver vessels and golden vessels. It's called nialer. I don't know, in French. There are three of them that stick. There are three cups that stick out in each one. Remember, I showed you kaftor b'ferach. There was a kaftor, a button, a round one, and a ferach. To each and every one of these staffs, there has to be at least one button and one flower. Right, like we showed before here. Let's see. In the menorah, on the menorah itself, there are 4 cups, and they are ornamented, and a button, and a flower. That's how it looks. Now you might think, well, come on, what do we care about this? After all, this thing was over 3,000. What is it? 300,000 something like 3,000 years ago, right? What do we care exactly how this looks? The answer is that this is God's will. It was God's will that that's the way the thing should look. And maybe we can get a better picture. No, I'm still searching for the first pictures that we had, which I lost because I thought I could get something better, which is a big mistake. Anyway, here, this is the gavim. This is the buttons. The buttons. And these are the cups. This is the kaftor. I'm saying this is the kaftorim. This is the cups. This is the perach. This is the flower. So on each one, there were 4. There was 4 buttons. So it was with all the branches that came out also. They also had each one of the branches also, here we can see in a small way here, each one of the branches also had here, a button on it and 3 cups. All right. On the menorah, there were 4 cups, and they were ornamented, and there was also a button and one of these flowers. There was also a button under the 2 kanim that came out of it. If you looked and you saw, and let's go back here, I'll just show it again. Each one had a button here, and here's a button, and from this button came the 2 branches, one to this side, one to this side. Here's a button that came out this way and this way. A button came in each and every one of them. Everything comes out from the middle stalk, middle pole. It's all one unit of gold, of pure gold. So it says that this is the Seforno. It says that it made one kula miksha achad. What we already knew that. It says no. What it wants to say is that the light that comes from it is like one single light. Well, this is Aver Panel. What does it mean? All of the cups on the top were tilted a little bit toward the middle. That's what it says, that the light of all of them, of the 3 branches that came to the right, the 3 branches that came to the left of this this lamp, there were 3 lamps on the right, 3 lamps on the left, and there was one in the middle. So the 3 on the right pointed a little bit toward the left, and the ones on the left pointed a little bit to the right, so that they were all pointing toward the middle lamp. And that's so it should be the same thing, says the Seforno, is teaching us a big lesson about us, that our light is intellect. The light of a person's mind should be toward the middle. What does it mean toward the middle? Toward action. It should be, and it should be all pointed to the upper light, namely of God, in order to serve God, all the different types of Jews. The menorah, we're going to see in the prophecy of Jeremiah, that God shows him this menorah, and that the menorah is a metaphor for the Jewish people. That there's 7 different types, general, of service of God, and all the Jewish people fit vaguely into one of these 7 types. Of course, the 7 types are also subdivided, etc. But nevertheless, the whole point is that they should all serve God like one group, because then they will all shine, like it was in the menorah. It says El Mu Pnei menorah, like it says they should be facing the center of the menorah. That's what it means that was made one, that all the Jewish people in this way are one in the way that they're serving the great light, which is God. Anyway, you should make the lamps on the top 7, and you should the lamps should be lit, but they should shine El Ever Poneh. They should be pointing to the middle lamp. To the middle lamp. So it says on the top were made like sort of cups, that you put in them the oil and you put in them the wick, and they should be pointing toward the middle lamp. You should make the 6 lamps, like I just finished telling you, that are in the beginning, that are on the top of these poles, tilted toward the middle one, in order that all of the lights, when you light them, they should be all shining toward the middle pole. The middle, which that's the main. Another, it says clearly that the Holy Temple shined on its own. And it said it was indicated by the fact that the windows of the Holy Temple had windows, but the windows, it says, were narrow on the inside and wide on the outside. They were pointed out to show that the shkufot atumot, it says, to show that the Holy Temple, it shined out into the world. Why did they need the lamps? It says that was for the commandment, and also it was a testimony that God was with them, because one of the lamps would never go out. It would stay, the east light lamp, it would stay there lit the whole entire light, and from it they would light all the rest of them. Okay, the malkocheh or machtoseh should be zav or malkocheh are tweezers, and machtoteh is like a little shovel, and this they would use to clean out the old wicks and any dirt or whatever that there was, to clean out the candles, the lamps, in order to prepare them for the. So it says malkocheh. This is like tweezers that they're taking in order to take out the wicks from the oil, in order to make it straight, in order to fix it up. And the machtotel, this is like some sort of a little shovel, and that in it they would put the dirt and the dust that was left over from the wicks every single morning when he would prepare the lights to light. Kikar zahav, it was made from 1 unit of gold, pure gold. It should all be made. All of these vessels, 1 kikar of gold, that it shouldn't be the weight of all the vessels except 1 kikar, not more and not less. How much is this kikar? A kikar, a weekday gets 60 shishim, 60 mana. How much does that weigh? We'll have to see. Shall code it, and that's the weekday. But the holy measures were double. It was 120 mana. How much is a mana? A money is like 1 liter that you bought, that you that you weigh in it a certain amount of silver. And this corresponds to, right, 1 liter that you weigh. This corresponds to what's called 100 zehuvim. It used to be a coin was made. 25 salayim, I guess a sela was like 4 zehuvim. And the sela was, that's what he said, arba zehuvim. Okay, a certain measure it had to be. And it's written exactly what this measure is, but that's how big it has to be. Ura'eh says, God, you should see and make it katavnita, like the shape that you saw on Mount Sinai. In other words, God showed him all this in the 40 days when he was on Mount Sinai. You should see, and you should see here in the mountain the form that I am telling you. This tells you that Moses had a big question on how to make the menorah until God had to show it to him, a menorah of fire. Right? God told him what to do, and Moses said, I just don't understand it. And God had to show him a menorah made of fire. That you should, that I showed you. It said at Chibatura, okay. Now it says, Chata Asher Mar'eh Bahar. It means that you saw. Not just that you saw, that I showed you. Mar'eh means that I showed you on the mountain. So God showed him all this. Okay, now after this, after it talks about making the menorah, so it talks about the curtains that are made all around the tabernacle, and the curtains that are put on the tabernacle. So let's just have a short view of this, and we'll talk about it more, God willing, tomorrow. Like we said, that this central place where God met with the Jews, so to speak, he met with Moses. Moses would stand here, and God would speak to him from the Holy of Holies. This is the Holy of Holies, 10 by 10, Amos, 10 by 10. And this is what's called the tent of meeting. This is 20 by 10. So, but it was open on the top. It was open on the top, and it had to be covered. What was it covered with? It was covered with, we'll see, skins of animals, very exactly made, and with 3 different types of wool. We're going to discuss that, but this is a little bit something vaguely like what it looked like here. And it draped over the sides, and it draped over the back also. There was a big part left in the back. A picture of it. And so there were these drapes that were over. There was also a drape that went in the front to cover it up so that people can go in, only the Kohanim. Then there was another drape here between the Holy and the Holy of Holies. There was another drape here. The pictures are not here. There was a drape here. There was another drape over here, a veil that went here and one went here, and it was decorated. We'll see how. Very interesting, intricate. Then there were these furs that went over the top, and then finally there were the drapes, the curtains that were all around the side. Right? This was 50 amas by 100 amas. That's how big it was. And this is what we're going to talk about, God willing, tomorrow. Have a good day with Mashiach now, and hope to see you at 8:15 tomorrow morning.